Hey everyone, Jeff here again for RhinoCorp Technology. In this video, I'm going to be introducing you to AI-based face recognition. Now, this is a function that's available on select VIP Vision network video recorders and IP cameras, and it allows the system to analyze both live and recorded video for a particular face or set of faces. Now, what does that allow us to do? Well, there's a couple of really interesting functions. The first of which is triggering. So what we can actually do is when a particular camera sees a particular face, we can send a notification or trigger an output or something to that effect. For instance, maybe I've got a good customer has just walked in the front door. The front door camera has seen that good customer in, and then the system sends the manager a notification saying that, hey, good customer's just turned up downstairs, you might want to take a look. Alternatively, on the flip side of that, maybe that same front door camera has seen a known shoplifter walk in, and you want to trigger an output on the recorder to maybe flash a strobe so that all of the staff in the surrounding area know to be on the lookout. Now, the second interesting function is actually reviewing existing footage for a particular face. So let's say I want to know I want to see footage every time that Jeff walked in the front door of that shop. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the basics of setting these functions up, and then I'm going to go through how to actually to search through recorded video. What we'll do is we'll keep triggers to a separate video because that's kind of a topic unto itself. Please note that all of the steps in this video and face recognition in general build upon face detection. So if you haven't already got a system set up for face detection, what I'd strongly suggest you do is check our existing video on face detection. We'll link it in down below. Go through that video, and once you've completed that video, you've got everything set up for face detection, the cameras that you're interested in are set up for face detection, then come back here and we'll go through this section. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to jump in and we'll find out what the requirements are before we can set all of this up. So the first thing we need to ensure is that the hardware we have is capable of performing face recognition. So in April of 2020, when this video is being filmed, there are 3 distinct ways of doing this. The first of which is to use existing or non-AI cameras and pair these with an AI series network video recorder, such as the 2 professional ones that you see in front of you here. This will work quite well. The only disadvantage with this is that the recorder itself is not only performing face recognition, but also face detection. So there are some limitations regarding how many channels can actually perform face recognition. If you need to get around that limitation and perform face recognition on all channels, the way to do that is to use a face capture or face detection capable AI network video camera and connect that to a network video recorder, which is AI capable. So now at this point, the camera does the face capture or face detection, and the recorder itself does the face recognition. At that point, you can actually achieve face recognition across all channels. The third method is to actually use a camera that supports face recognition. And none are listed on this page here because for the most part, it's not really the best way to go because it ends up being quite expensive for a very limited number of channels. The best way is to use the face capture camera and the face recognition recorder. But if you do have a particular situation where you have a camera that's in a remote side of things where you do not have an NVR to do your face recognition, this is the camera that is available at present, this 2 megapixel face recognition camera. So that's the first part, that's the hardware that's required. Now, the second thing here to look out for is that you really need to ensure that the camera is placed correctly, positioned correctly, because if the camera's in the wrong spot, it's not going to be getting good shots of people's faces, and you're going to end up with a subpar performance when it comes to face recognition. This also applies to face detection, but it's much more critical when we hit face recognition. So we'll jump back to the PC here now, and we'll jump across to the instructions for this face recognition recorder, or the AI recorder. Now you'll see when using AI features, correct camera mounting is crucial for AI triggers to be reliably received. Use the information below to mount the cameras correctly. So when using face detection and/or face recognition, the camera will need to be dedicated to the task, i.e. you'll need to make sure that the camera itself is set up to be used specifically for face recognition, face detection and face recognition. You can't just expect that a camera that's hovering over a wide area or observing a wide area is going to be particularly well suited to face recognition. It will need to be focused on the entry point to the premises, not covering a wide area, which is basically what we just covered now. When installing the camera, it is vital to ensure that the scene is well lit. Avoid light coming from the back or the sides of the scene. Essentially, avoid backlighting, avoid strong highlights that are going to light up half the face or behind the face. Or essentially, we need really good shots of the face, obviously, to perform face recognition. So we don't want the camera to be only capturing half the face because there's a really bright light on this side and nothing on this side, and we don't want really bright backlighting so the front of the face is all dark. So coming back here now, the only other thing that we really need to be obviously ensure is that the camera is mounted in a good position to get shots of the face. Now this is an example with a 3.6mm fixed lens camera, 2 megapixel. Suggested mounting height is 2.5 meters, giving a horizontal distance of 6 meters and an angle or a downward angle of 15 degrees. That's to ensure that you're not looking at the person's head and you're not looking, straight into them, because when you're looking straight into them, they tend to be, faces tend to get obscured by people walking in front of the face, like people in front obscuring the people behind. So now at this point we've made sure that we've got the right cameras, we've got them positioned in the right places. The next thing to do is to configure the system. Now for this setup, I'm going to be using an AI capable network video recorder, professional series AI capable network video recorder, and I'm going to show you on an AI capable face detection camera in addition to another source which is just like, imagine it as a regular camera. It's actually an RTSP stream coming in just with some video so that we can easily demonstrate face recognition. Okay, and here is the recorder in question. Now, as you'll see, I've got face detection set up on a number of cameras here already. The first of which is channel 7 in the middle here, and you'll see that it's capturing me. The second camera that we have face recognition set up on, or face detection I should say, set up on at this stage, is this camera here showing video of a scene with just a lot of faces walking past. Now this, again, is, as we just mentioned, is not the ideal place to have a camera, but just that's where it was located for this stock footage. You'll note that this is what happens when you have a camera too low or on too shallow of an angle. The people in front obscure the faces behind. So the first thing that we want to do is we'll right click and select main menu. You'll need to log in if you aren't already logged in. Then we'll need to select AI. Now, in this list here, you'll see Smart Search at the top, you'll see parameters, and you'll see database. Now, as I mentioned before, we want to ensure that face detection is already set up. Okay, please use the previous video to make sure face detection is set up for the cameras that we are planning on setting up face recognition on. The next thing you need to do is select database and face library. Now face library, it's essentially a group of faces or a number of different groups of faces which are assigned certain attributes. Now in this video, we're only going to set up a single face library. But in another video in the future, I'll show you how to set up more face libraries so that we can do blacklists and whitelists and set up triggers and things like that. So in this case, I'm going to call this library demo. Okay, and you'll notice at the moment we've got no registered people, we've had no failures with registering, and we've had no errors with the photos for people. Up the top here, you'll note you'll have local and remote. Local because we're actually operating on an AI-based recorder. We may select remote if we happen to have face recognition cameras that we're going to set up remotely. We're going to set the face library up remotely. So the next thing to do is click on Details. Now in here, this is where we actually register faces, register IDs. And what I'm going to do is show you how to register an ID in here or register a face in here. However, this is not strictly necessary because we can add faces through the recorder itself. So I'm going to show you this step first though. So the first thing to do is to select register, and we're going to select plus, and we're going to open an image. So I'm going to select this one here. This is a face of the person that we want to enroll. I'm going to select OK. And here you go. You'll note that we have the image of a person. So I'm going to delete the description out of here. And I'm just going to call this person John. Now, we can add as much or as little information in here as you'd like. I'm just going to leave his gender. I'm going to leave all the rest of this out, and I'm going to select OK. Add success, meaning it's detected a face in the image and everything is good. Select yes. Now I can select search up here, and now you'll see that we have John listed in the set of people in this face database or face library. You'll note that we have modeling successful down the bottom here. That essentially means that the recorder or the device that you are adding the face to has successfully detected the face and is ready to recognize that face in future video. So I'm going to right click once just to exit our face library. Now you'll see that we have one registered person in here. So as I mentioned, that's the first way that we can add people to the face library. I'm going to show you a second method. So I'm going to right click and right click once more, and you will see a number of faces down the list here, down the side here. I'm going to add myself. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is just cover up my face so that I disappear out of the image. And then I'm going to reappear like I've walked into the scene so that I get picked up here. And shortly you will note that I will appear on the side. There we go. So I'm going to double click on me. And now you'll be able to see, this is the face detection function, obviously. And you'll see the video of me covering my face up and then waiting for it to come back. But I'm not so interested in that. I'm going to pause that, and I'm going to select Add to Human Face Database up the top here. And what I can do now is I can select the face database that I'm interested in. So I'm going to add myself to the demo face database, and I'm going to call myself Jeff. And again, I could add any number of things in here. I'm going to select Australia for my region, and I'm going to leave the rest blank, and I'm going to select OK. Now, if I right click to close that and right click once more and select main menu, I'm going to show you that I'm now in the face database or the face library. You'll now see that there's 2 registered people in here, and if I click on details, you'll be able to see that my face is now shown in the face library. Okay, so now that we have a face database and we have some faces within that face library, what we can actually do is we can use those images to search our footage to find when they were in shot, when the camera saw those people. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the recorder. I'm going to actually add a few more faces just to show you again how it's done and just fill out the library a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to search for those images in our existing footage. So let's jump back across now. Okay, so we're still here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a couple of people. So I'm just going to add this person here. I'm going to call her Jane. Jane. I'm going to make her female, and we're going to click demo library and go OK. Right click, and we'll add this lady here. Add to database, and we're going to make her Jill. Female, and she can be Australian, and we're going to add her to the database. Okay, so now, again, if I go back into main menu, select AI, and my face library, you'll now note that there's 4 people in there, and you can see those 4 images. So I'm going to right click, and right click again. And now what we're going to actually do is search our footage for those people. So again, main menu, AI, but this time we're going to select Smart Search. So I select Smart Search, and I'm going to do face recognition. I'm going to select from my face library, and I'm going to look for every time that I saw Jane and Jill. I'm going to select OK, and I'm going to select camera 10 because that is the camera that we were working with, and I'm going to select smart search. Now you'll see my similarity down here. I'm saying, tell me any time that they are 70% similar. Now, if you have a good image of the person, you can actually increase this similarity and it'll filter out any, or you'll get far less false positives. You could increase it to say 80, for instance. So we can do that now. Increase it to 80 and we click Smart Search. And we wait for the search to come through. And now you'll find that it will show you every time that it saw these people in video. Now you'll note that these images are very similar, of course, because we're actually viewing video on a loop. But if in real life, obviously the images will be a little bit different. That's good. It shows us when it detected that person. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go and I'm going to select this lady here and double click again, and you can see when she's detected, just there. Right click once more to stop, and right. So just to show you how that works one more time, I'm going to select the face library, and this time I'm going to include myself and select OK. Now you can see that we've got these 3 images in here. And what we're going to do this time is I'm going to search on channel 7. And again, I set my start time and my end time and my similarity, and I select Smart Search. And as expected, it sees lots of images of myself because I'm in here. But now you can see the differences between the images that it's seeing of me versus the comparison to the face that it has saved of me. So I'll just flick through some of these pages here. And you'll note that even on relatively obscured images, it can sometimes still pick up faces quite well and with quite high accuracy. Like you can see on this image down the bottom here that I had my head tilted down and yet it's still very certain that it's me. So I'm going to just jump across to one and we'll select this crazy one here and we'll just note to see what it looks like when it captures my face. There you go. Okay, so again, right click to stop, right click to exit, and right click once more, and now we're back at the main menu. So there you go, that gives you an indication of how to use the face library or faces within the face library to search our existing footage and find whenever the camera saw the face of that particular person. Now, there's also the possibility that maybe someone will approach you with an image of someone and say, hey, I need to know which cameras saw this person or when this person came into the store. Imagine maybe the police have come to you with an image that, from someone else's recorder possibly, and they want to know if that person has come into your store. Or maybe there's always the case of a missing child or something like that where they've got an image of the person, they've got an image of the child, but they don't know where they are within the shopping center now, or they don't know whether they've come in or that sort of thing. So what I'm going to show you now is taking an image from a USB stick, uploading that to the recorder and searching based off that. So you can imagine, imagine the flow of information here. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to jump back to the recorder. Okay, so I'm going to right click and select main menu, and again I'm going to select AI. Now again I'm selecting face recognition, but instead of searching on face library, I'm going to select local upload. And from local upload, I'm going to select an image of me. And there you go. It's quite an old image of me, but we'll see how we go. So imagine in this situation, someone's just given you an image and said, hey, I need to know if this person's here. So you plugged it in, they've given it to you on a USB stick, you plugged it into the recorder, and now you're selecting the channel that you want to look for them on. So I'm going to select, in this case, channel 12, okay? And again, you select start time and end time and the similarity of the match that you need. So again, I'm going to select Smart Search. And there you go. It's located me on that channel. So it's located me not from a recent image of me, but from a passport style image of me from some time ago, and with quite high certainty on this camera here. So let's just watch the footage through and just see what the camera itself saw. And that's all it took. Just one more time. Okay, so as with face recognition, I could back this up if I wanted to, select, say backup, and I could back it up to a USB stick just by clicking start, and I could select video and pick, and it would back up not only the video and the picture, but also the snapshot of the face that it saw doing that. Okay, so I'm just going to right click, and right click back out. Okay, so hopefully you can see the value in that particular thing. It can be really quite useful if you just have an image that you've been given. You can search through all your footage, not just the footage after you upload the image, but anything before it. It could be, you know, maybe you've got 3 months worth of footage on the recorder. You could search through that entire 3 months of footage and everything would just work. So just to recap, we've gone over how to set up, or the basics of face recognition, which cameras to use, which recorders, which hardware to use, how to position your camera, how to set up face recognition, and how to use face recognition, both from a face library and from just an image being uploaded. I hope that has been useful, and I hope that you can find situations where you will use this in future jobs. To me, it's a really useful feature, and it's really where you know, sort of rubber hits the road with regard to the AI type functions. This one's actually pretty useful. If you found that this video was useful, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, further comments, anything you'd like to say, please leave it down below. Any further videos that you'd like to see in the future, again, leave a comment down below and we'll endeavour to get onto those for you. Thanks for watching.